All right, welcome to the JC Sports. This is the Detroit Tigers season preview, Tiger Talk on JC Sports. Let's get to it. There's a lot to get to. Obviously, today of the recording of the video, there was a couple news and notes. Parker Meadows is going to start the year off on the 60-day injured list. They used to call it the DL, but it's now the IL. So that's a little bit interesting. Wenzel Perez, Scott Harris said that Wenzel Perez will miss a month. I mean, this is just becoming one thing after another with this team, especially with the injuries that are in the outfield, which could have been, which is one of the more stronger spots of this team's defense. But it'll be interesting to see how this is going to go. Obviously, look, last year was awesome for the Detroit Tigers. Last year, what we dealt with, what we saw from this team, it was simply fantastic. The way that they played, and last year that I had this as my season preview. I did the season preview. I had this little graphic put together, and I said, a surprising call up would be Jace Young. He did get called up. A surprise player would be Joey Wentz. He was kind of surprising in a way. Scooble was the best pitcher on the staff, no doubt about it. Kerry Carpenter, 37 home runs. I thought he could potentially get there. He didn't. Torkelson was a total miss, and Urshela was a total miss, and winning the AL Central was a total miss. But other than that, it was a pretty key one right there. But when we look back at the Tigers last year, what was the things that kind of gave us a little bit of pause? I think a lot of us, when we went into that just miraculous run where they went to the wild card, they beat the Houston Astros. They played the Cleveland Guardians. Obviously, we all know what the problem was with the Detroit Tigers. The problem was the offense. And can the offense get better this year? That's the question that I have to ask. And this is the offense from last year. They had 36 comeback wins. That's a lot of comeback wins. They had 15 shutouts where they were a game where they were shut out. They were 24th in home runs, 23rd in batting average, 28th on base percentage, and 19th in runs. Look, we could talk about the Tigers. We could talk about where they're going to go from here, what they're going to be able to do. But when I look at the Tigers in this small prism, is can their offense be better? Because if their offense can be better, they're going to be a damn good team. If their offense is the same, I mean, you're hoping that your pitching does the same. I think the bullpen's going to be strong. We know the bullpen could be strong. Tyler Holton is going to be. Hopefully, he stays the same as he did last year. There's a lot of good players and good guys in that bullpen. And I think the bullpen is going to be strong. Pitching staff is going to be strong. I mean, when you hear from MLB.com that there is a potential that you could have the Cy Young winner and you could have the AL Rookie of the Year in Jackson Jobe, I mean, that tells you everything you know about the pitching dynamic. But the reality of the situation is this. If the Tigers can be just efficient on offense, they don't even have to be great. They don't have to be totally outstanding. If they're just efficient, where they're at league average, that could really make the team a lot better than it was last year. And right now, the over under, if we look at, FanDuel, this is from FanDuel. Where is it? Here it is. If you look at the season odds, they're 83.5 wins over under. They're plus 3,000 for World Series odds, plus 1,000 for American League odds, plus 230 for AL Central. It's only 20 away from uh, the Twins. American League MVP Riley Green is plus 6,000. Tarek Skubal is plus 10,000, and plus 18,000 is Kerry Carpenter. That's kind of a one if you really wanted to put some money on it and you wanted to see what you could potentially get, that would be a decent one. I think getting a guy like Kerry Carpenter, where I think if he is able to play, you know, if he's not just platoon to one side of the, hitting, I think he could do really, really well. But we'll see what happens there. But if you look at the AL Cy Young, Tarek Skubal is plus 350. Jack Flaherty's plus 5,500. Reese Olson's plus 12,000. You look at Rookie of the Year, AL Rookie of the Year, Jackson Jobe is plus 750. Jace Young is plus 3,500. And Trey Sweeney is plus 7,500. Look, we all know that this is going to be a tough year if some of these guys can't get going. And a guy like Riley Green, every year I have a feeling that he's going to just break out. He's going to become one of the top players in Major League Baseball. And it seems every year, for whatever reason, he always gets hurt. There's an injury that really sets him back. And I think if he stays healthy, he's a great player. I mean, he's one of your best batters, and he could be a huge piece in this lineup, especially with missing Parker Meadows for 60 days, missing Marcel Perez for a month. I mean, someone's got to pick up the slack. And who is it going to be? Is it going to be Riley Green? Is it going to be Kerry Carpenter? Is it going to be a guy like Dylan Dingler? Is it going to be, insert a name that could potentially be competent on the offensive end? Gleyber Torres, the signing from New York. Look, I like Torres as an offensive player. I think he could really provide a little bit of a spark for that. Where I have a little bit of problems with this team, we're talking about the offense, but Gleyber Torres' defense is pretty bad, and we're going to transition into that in a few. But offensively, I think if they could just be league average, just league average, they could be a really good team. And their pitching doesn't have to be as good as it was last year. Last year was an anomaly to the way that they played. The pitching chaos. I mean, how often can you really put that into conjunction of how your team is going to play? Like, how can you really count on that pitching chaos? You can't. And the offense has to come alive. Like, that's just the reality. We all look at Riley Green. We all look at Kerry Carpenter. We're hoping for a reclamation project in Spencer Torkelson. Hopefully, Colt Keith gets off the ground. But if one of these guys hits, it could really reset the whole lineup. That's just the way it goes. And the problem with the Tigers isn't that they aren't talented, it's that they have unproven talent, like unproven, consistent talent. You look at Riley Green, you say he's consistently good. He has yet to have a year where he stayed completely healthy. And I would love to see him stay healthy, but it's sports and sometimes you just don't stay healthy. But if you're going to have the inability of the lineup and you're already having injuries with, Parker Meadows and Wencel Perez, if there's more injuries, what does that put into you? And so I looked at this. This is from Fangraphs. This is the projected playing time. Now, obviously, we know this is projected, and today we learned that Parker Meadows is not going to be playing either as Wencel Perez or Matt Vierling. So Margot, who they just signed, is gonna he might get the nod in center field. I'd imagine that Riley Green would get the nod over him, and you'd put Margot maybe into left field or right field. But this is how they have it. And Trey Sweeney has 50% of the shortstop at shortstop. I like that. They have McKinstry, Young, and Baez, and Ibanez, and Vierling at third base in more than 10%. Trey Sweeney, 4%, and Lee, 2%. They have Gleyber Torres playing second base 94% of the time, Ibanez 2% of the time, Ibanez 2% of the time, and McKinstry 1% of the time. And then you look at first baseman, Colton Keith is projected there to be 72% there. Spencer Torkelson 22%, McKinstry 3%, Ibanez 2%, Malloy 1%, and then you look at catcher Jake Rogers 66% or 60%. 37% for Dylan Dingler, who could potentially share some time at catcher, which we totally imagine he will. And then you look at WAR, the projected WAR of what we could see from this Tigers team. Obviously, you could see Riley Green is the highest projected WAR on the team next to Gleyber Torres. Those are two that 4.2 for Riley Green, 3.1 for Gleyber Torres. And then you look at just the rest of the infield. It's not really that great. Colt Keith, they have 1.6, which is not that great at all. Jake Rogers at 2.9. Jake Rogers is a good defensive catcher behind the plate, but that's just what you get from this. Is like the projected stats of Fangraphs. But look, I do worry about the defense. I do worry about the defense. Defense is a total worry for me. When you talk about the defense for the Tigers, first of all, It's a little bit baffling to me. Obviously, they were on the Bregman sweepstakes. Obviously, we know that Bregman had the best offer with the Detroit Tigers, and he chose to go to Boston, which is his fault. Which is his that's his decision. But the reality of the situation is this: the Tigers have a void at third base. I think Trey Sweeney could be a good defensive player behind at shortstop. Now, if you start putting Baez in there, that could be a problem. I think Baez and Sweeney have to play religiously because you look at that second base, first base. Colt Keith's never played first base before at a realistic level. Gleyber Torres has been a horrible defensive player, and you just wonder what this team is going to be defensively. Now, we all know that their starting rotation, the Detroit Tigers' starting rotation, is just absolutely great. But you got to have the defense to back them up. And I worry about the defense for this team moving forward. If the Tigers defense can't get it going and they can't, get outs when it matters, they can't be a plus defensive team, there's a little bit of issues because if your offense isn't like a top 15 offense and you're giving away runs, I mean, this could really head off the tracks. Like this is a major worry for me. I think that defense is one of I think defense is the worst, is the most concerning thing in this whole thing. Like defense is the most concerning part of this whole team. Everyone looks at the offense and they go, offense is great. The offense is great. Or the offense is bad. The offense is bad. But the defense, I mean, Baez, Torres. I mean, Torres is a great offensive player. Do I think he's going to be a great defensive player for the Tigers? No. I mean, the Yankees literally asked him to go play third base, and he didn't want to do it. And he wasn't a great defensive player last year. And look, Baez being on the team is strictly because he might give you something defensively, which is not much. But when you look at the rest of the infield, like Colt Keith is inexperienced at first base. Jake Rogers is your best defender, infielder. I would imagine by a long shot. Jake Rogers is a great defensive catcher, but the rest of this team, like the infield, is the real worry. Now, if we look in the outfield, like this is the playing time. Oops, this is the playing time, and you look at Riley Green getting time. You look at all those guys. I think the outfield is something that you could hang your hat on. When you look at the outfield, and you say that could be a strength when healthy. Now the key is they're not healthy right now. The Tigers are not healthy right now. Wencel Perez is out for a month, and Parker Meadows is out on a 60-day injured list. So it really has you wondering, where are they going to be? Where are they going to be? Can this team, with the schedule that they have in that first month, can they be realistically good? And if they can, you're in a good spot. If they can't, you're going to have to make up ground like you did last year. That's just the reality. And I look at this defense, especially in the infield, and I that's my biggest concern is the infield defense. I think the outfield defense could be pretty damn good. I think when you look at it, it might help you out, especially when Meadows gets back, and especially when Perez gets back. But when we look at this in totality, we look at how this Tigers team is going to be built. I mean, offense isn't going to be elite. We know that. If you could be average and get average defense, that could get you in the playoffs. That could win you the division. But let's take a look. This is what the Fangraphs has as the percentage of who wins the AL Central, who wins the wild card in the playoffs. As you can see, the overwhelming favorite, not overwhelming, 10% favorite right now is the Minnesota Twins at 36.3. You can see the Detroit Tigers are 26.8 to win the AL Central. You see Kansas City's strictly right behind. You see that Cleveland, who won the division last year, is in fourth place. And obviously the Chicago White Sox are the Chicago White Sox. Now, Detroit has a 46% chance to make the playoffs. and that is the best in the division besides the Twins. We all saw last year what the Twins did when they were when they got to the end of the year. They totally fell apart, and it gave the division to the Cleveland Guardians. But I look at this division, I go, okay, Bobby Witt Jr. for Kansas City is going to be really good. I think the Twins could be potentially really good. I think the Guardians have some talent on there, so they could be pretty good. I doubt that any team in this division gets over 90 wins. I doubt it. I think a team is going to get close. I think it could be the Tigers, but the reality of the situation is the 86 wins last year. The over under is 83.5. I'm pretty sure they're bringing in the fact of the matter that this division might be a little bit tighter and they might eat each other up, especially those 4 teams. But it'll be interesting. Now, look, the MLB.com, they had this 25 predictions. They had Bobby Witt Jr. winning the AL MVP, Shohei Ohtani winning the NL MVP, Jackson Jobe winning the Rookie of the Year, Tarik Skubal winning the Cy Young. Right there alone shows you how good this division could potentially be. If Bobby Witt Jr. wins the MVP, what does that say for the Kansas City Royals? Or how good are the Kansas City Royals? Because to win the MVP at any level, your team has to be good. You can't be a terrible team and win the MVP. It just does not happen. But the Royals could potentially be that team that could be the cog in the wheel. The Twins could potentially be that team that could be the cog in the wheel. Now, it's going to depend for the Detroit Tigers how good they are on the infield defense and how they can really keep themselves to pace before Parker Meadows comes back in late May. That's going to be the key question, especially what happened today with Meadows going on 60-day injured list and Scott Harrison and Wencel Perez will not be ready for the regular season. He'll miss a month. So it is what it is. Let's look at the starting rotation. Obviously, we know the starting rotation is because, well, this might be one of the best rotations in a while. And if Jackson Jobe could be a potential rookie of the year candidate, you got 3-4 good pitchers, and then we don't know we can get out of Casey Mize. The pitching staff, in my opinion, will be better than it was last year. I know that's saying a lot, but last year you had Reese Olson come on, and Jack Flaherty played good before they traded him. Tarik Skubal obviously was a Cy Young Award winner. If Casey Mize can just be average and Jackson Jobe is a Rookie of the Year candidate, I mean, you're talking about the pitching really keeping you home. And they made some great bullpen additions like Tommy Canal. And there were some other additions that they made. I have a lot of faith in Tyler Holton. He's going to be a good bullpen arm too. I like where this Tigers team is going. I love the pitching staff. I think the pitching staff is going to carry them as far as they can. It's just a matter of is the offense going to help the pitching staff? And if the pitching staff is helped by the offense, that'll help out a lot. But if the pitching staff isn't helped out by the offense at all, that could be a major problem with this team. So, look, we know the pitching staff is good. We know the offense could be a potential issue. We know that defense could be a potential issue. And, look, I said it, the biggest concern I have is defense. I think the offense will be better this year. My biggest concern is the defense. I think Gleyber Torres at second could be a total disaster. I think Colt Keith playing first, and this isn't something he's used to. Could be a disaster. Who's going to be the third baseman could be a disaster. When you're talking about your shortstops, Trey Sweeney and Javier Baez being your potential best part of your defense in the infield, you might have an issue. But even then, I still think the Tigers are going to be a decent team this year. So, look, how good will the Tigers be? How good will the infield defense be? Because I believe that the Tigers' offense will be just middle of the pack. I believe the pitching staff will be elite. If the pitching staff carries the day, that could be a huge, huge thing for this Tigers team. But if the pitching staff falls back to the wayside, the offense doesn't hit league average, and they fall back to where they were last year. We saw where they were last year. nothing good at the bottom of the pack in home runs, batting average, on base percentage, and barely on the bottom pack with the runs. But they had 36 comeback wins and 15 times they were shut out last year. So when I look at the Tigers, it comes down to two things. I think the Tigers could be a really good team this year, but there's a lot of things that have me pausing a little bit. And I have my predictions. This is my prediction, so I didn't write the same thing I did last year. I'll do that on Wednesday before the day game. But I think the offense will be league average. I think the defense will be dicey in the first half. I think once they get Parker Meadows back and he hits his stride, and Wencel Perez, and they finally figure out who's going to be the situational people, I think that could be a huge thing for the Tigers. I think Carpenter will start hitting both sides, lead Tigers and homers. And if Kerry Carpenter is allowed to do what he's able to do, that could be a huge thing for this Detroit Tigers team. Evan Woodbury of the M Live had a great little graphic, and I'll put it up right now. He has the platoons, and you can see on the right side, Rogers can hit the right and the left. Keith is right and left. Torres is right and left. But when you get to the shortstop, right is Trey Sweeney, left is Baez, third is McKinstry. Ibanez hits the left-handers, which we know Ibanez can hit left-handers. Green is going to be in the left field. Obviously, with Perez being out, this puts a little bit damp in it, so you know that the outfield could be a little bit dicey for a little bit, because he's not only is Perez in right field, in center field for the right-handers, but he's in left, and he's in the right field for the left-hander. And then you look at the DH, Torque and Malloy. I think Justin Henry and Malloy could be a potential. He could be a potential just a game changer. I think Justin Henry and Malloy might be the guy that really helps his team going forward, to be honest. You look at the bench, Dingler, McKinstry, Sweeney, Carpenter, Baez, for the right-hander, Baez, and Ibanez, Dingler, Margot. Look, I think Carpenter is going to play against both guys. I think that he deserves it. He's been a great hitter. He's been a clutch hitter. He's been a reliable hitter. I think AJ Hinch can trust him in both spots and try it out. Obviously, with the way the outfield is right now and the players that are missing, like Perez and Meadows, maybe it forces AJ Hinch's hand. Maybe, just maybe, it forces his hand. That could be the most interesting thing about this, especially the way that this season's starting. And look, this season starting, it is starting off the hop. It is really starting off the hop. This team is going to go play the world champion LA Dodgers. It doesn't get any harder than that, especially since it's going to be on ESPN, for the world to see, and you're going to be like, wow, this is going to be crazy. But we know that they're going to be starting out with the Dodgers. They're going to go to the Mariners. They have a 6-game stretch where they're going to play. They're going to play. I'm going to put this Tiger schedule up right here. So they're going to be playing the Dodgers. They're going to be playing for Dodgers for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Then they're going to have an off day Sunday. Play on Monday against the Mariners. We go back up. They're going to play Tuesday and Wednesday. It's a travel day to play the Chicago White Sox on Friday, which is the season opener for the Detroit Tigers. And, look, if there's any little reprieve that you really want, you want the Chicago White Sox after you go on a 6-game road trip on the West Coast, which we know the Tigers don't do good on the West Coast. But you look at this schedule to start out with no Perez in the first month and no Meadows. Yankees come into town after Chicago White Sox. Then you go to Minnesota. Then you go to Milwaukee. Then you play Kansas City and the Padres and the Orioles at home. Then you go back on the road to play the Astros. So this first month is nuts for the Detroit Tigers. It's honestly baffling how hard this schedule is. And we're going to learn a lot about this Detroit Tigers team in the first month. But I think when you go to the second month and you look at the teams that you're going to be playing, like the Angels, The Blue Jays. I mean, these are teams that you could potentially earn some games back, but there's no easy games on this in the first 2 months. I mean, you look at a team like the Guardians and the Royals, and even the Red Sox could potentially be good, and the Rangers, obviously, we know are probably going to be good. This could be an interesting time for the Detroit Tigers, but in all, I think the Detroit Tigers could be just. I think they're going to be better than a lot of people think, and I think that if they play the way that they're going to play, they're going to be pretty damn good. But look, we all know the Tigers are going to be a damn good team, or we hope that they're going to be a damn good team. But the way I look at it with this team is, I think the offense can be better. I think the pitching staff will carry the day. What I'm really concerned about is defense is a real worry. And if the defense can't be as good as it was last year or even adequate to what it was last year, there could be some issues going down the pike. But I have high hopes for the Tigers. I think they'll do pretty good this year. But again, it comes down to the one thing we're worried about, defense. But all in all, look, this is Tiger Talk. We'll be here all season long to talk Tigers on this channel. We'll be posting daily videos, or somewhat daily videos. Especially after every series. We're gonna keep you up to date on all the Tigers news, so you can, if you are a Tigers fan, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and I appreciate you guys for liking the video. And we will have more Tigers content. Last year, I tried to do Tigers content. I got a little busy in the summer. But this year, this is going to be my full-time worry. And I'll see you guys in the next video to talk more Detroit Tigers baseball. Be sure to follow JC Sports on Facebook, my Twitter account at Detroit Joe Chat. And we will see you guys in the next video as we talk more Detroit Tigers baseball here on JC Sports. Thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next video after probably Thursday.